Good morning, everybody. It is the Desert Viking, and I'm here on week 25. Now, I know I was at a point where I was pretty much felt like I was done doing these things, but this has been a very surreal week for me. It has been an enlightening week, to say the least. And I feel compelled to discuss those things, which again was kind of the point of this video. And even in my goodbye video, I had pointed out that I will post videos as I see fit. So I'm coming upon the conclusion of week 25 of this wondrous journey that I've been on. And I just ended another physical program last week. So this is a rest week for me. Kind of taking it easy. Had my tape test today. I'm down to 20.3% body fat. So that was exciting. I graduated basic training at 20. So I almost have the body of my 18-year-old self again, minus all of the warning lights and everything else that comes with being in your mid 40s. I don't feel like I'm I'm 18 anymore. But I want, this whole thing was to document the journey, the recovery journey from being destroyed to rebuild to here I am. And I think this channel is taking a turn more to the spiritual side of things, which is good. I think that's the point. That was what I came here to talk about the heart, and the spiritual nexus is the heart. The other two being, of course, the mind and the body. The spiritual nexus is important. And as I talked through the emotional devastation wrought by individuals, I was able to heal. And I took myself down to nothing and built myself up from the ground up, basically. And things have started falling in place again. When I moved here to the desert, there was a great deal of energy around me. It was unreal. Because in my life, I'd never encountered something like that. Everything worked. Everything was doing what it was supposed to do. And then, of course, a little while ago behind me, I got torpedoed from behind and all that stopped. But everything is temporary. Everything is a moment in time, a very brief moment in time where we have to stop and take stock of what is going on around us and rebuild or reforge or take ourselves to task as needed to remind ourselves of whatever it is our calling is. And I think we needed that calling. I think today there is definitely there's a lack of people with a purpose, and you can see it in society as it crumbles around us. Not will crumble, but is crumbling. I think that we're certainly on the end of an epoch, moving into a new era, at least in the West. I think that we live in an environment that's untenable, and that is going to collapse on itself very, very soon. We will see this. Now, my call to Freemasonry has been very fruitful, has been very energizing, has been very lifting, because what I had to do was destroy myself and build myself back up, brick by brick, and not fall back into habits or patterns that could have destroyed me. Again, just repeating the endless loop over and over again. And the first thing that I did was I started rebuilding my body. The second thing I started to do was rebuild my mind. And the third thing I started to do was rebuild my heart. And as time has moved on, those things have gotten stronger and stronger. And I know that journey doesn't stop. You don't ever stop building. And through all of this, this has been a very surreal week for me, and I'm not going to go into details in this video. I probably never will go into details completely to the public, but, excuse me, there has been, as I've journaled, and you do your meditations and your journaling, 7 gates that I have seen. And this is ultimately the progression path for me of transformation, of going from who I was to where I will be. 7 gates. Now, 7 is a sacred number. I'm getting ready to transition into my 3rd gate, and I'm going to talk about those 3 gates here. And I plan on writing a little bit more about this. Right now, pieces are just coming at me, and they're snapping into place all around me. But I need to do more work. So I've begun drawing sacred geometry. I've begun doing some studies. So I will be doing some work with the Book of Enoch on this channel. I plan on delving a little bit into that. These are all things that are moving with me right now. So if you're along for the journey, cool. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to talk about the 3 gates that I have, or the 2 gates that I have gone through, and the 3rd gate that I'm going through. And again, there are 7 of these. And these are allegories, of course. This may help you if you're going through something similar. May this be a guide stone for you. Maybe you can embellish on this. Maybe you've had similar experiences to this, what I'm about to show you, and we could have a discussion on it. That would be amazing. So let's see here. All right. So these are the 3 gates that am experiencing right now. So the very first one is the trauma gate, the red gate. That's the beginning. And in the trauma gate, we go through, as you can expect, its name, trauma. That is the bloody gate. And the bloody gate is so called because you are at the beginning of your injury, of your experience. Your heart has been destroyed. You've been betrayed. You've been abandoned. You've seen and witnessed something horrifying. It's trauma. The trauma gate. The red gate, the bloody gate. And walking through that gate, you don't have a choice. You're kind of thrust into that by the environment. I suppose you could choose to walk through the bloody gate if you wanted to. Maybe you have to. Maybe for transformation, you know that you have to do that, and you'd have to sacrifice something, which would cause trauma. So you could voluntarily walk through this gate. It's not a fun gate. Having the coffee, but it is the introductory to all of this. Now, it is at this point that you are going to be at your rawest, your most angry, your most sad. Everything is going to be sharp, and you're not going to be able to breathe. And during the red gate, while you walk through the red gate, it's very important that you find your feet immediately, because that's the first thing that I noticed in the beginning of that phase. Was I didn't know what up or down was. I didn't know what my directions were. I didn't know what was going on. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I couldn't do anything. You have to reestablish a grounding of yourself in that gate. And if you don't, you'll be in that gate for a long, long time. You'll be in that area. And it is from here that you begin the process of identifying what you need, what needs to happen, what needs to be sharpened, what needs to be fixed. How did you get here? This is a very critical analysis phase of your journey. Okay. Now, after that, we go to Thanatos. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. That's Greek. The black gate. The black gate is the gate of death. But when we say the gate of death, we don't mean, you actually physically die, but you do die. The Black Gate is one that you can get lost in. It's kind of like a limbo. Because in the Black Gate, you are going to be cloaked with despair. You are, in the Bloody Gate, you're going to have energy. It's going to be horrifyingly painful, but you're going to have energy. But in the Black Gate, that's where you start to lose that motivation. That's where you start to question why you're even bothering. That's the part where the despair starts to weigh in more. Because in the Bloody Gate, I felt more anger. In the Black Gate, it was more despair. And it was sapping my will. You will, at the end of this gate, die. Who you were should be dead. You'll know you're ready to move to the next gate when yourself has truly died and a new self is waiting to be born again. For whatever that means to you when I say born again. So I just concluded the Black Gate. And at the conclusion of the Black Gate, things started snapping into place for me again. Things started moving again. Things started working again. It has been a surreal experience because it took what I came to the desert with, thinking that everything was awesome, and has now multiplied that several times over. And you have to be careful that you're not experiencing moments of manic. So psychologically in the bipolar world, we have bouts of depression and bouts of mania. So if you're going through trauma, it's very easy to bounce between those two states. So you want to make sure that you're grounded and what you're dealing with is you've actually progressed and you're healing and not just in a manic state where everything is great because the chemicals in your brain are bouncing back and forth from mania to depression. I haven't had a bout of sadness in many, many weeks. It has been a slow crest up. Now, I have struggled with loneliness, and I have struggled with isolation. These are not gates that I recommend working by yourself, but some of us don't have that luxury to choose. So if you are by yourself, then just know that there's a reason why you're doing it on your own. And as the time comes right and as your frequencies raise, you will attract the right people to join you on that journey or to contribute or to help in whatever way that they can. I know that all sounds weird and esoteric, but I am weird and esoteric, so take that for what it is. Again, that's why I joined a Freemasonry Lodge, because I can explore things like this. And nothing I'm showing you has anything to do with Freemasonry, just to point that out. This is all stuff that's come to me through my meditation. So I'm just putting names on this to make my brain understand it more. And then once it's all done, I plan on delving deeper into this to see if there's any connection to something that also already exists. Once you have passed through the black gates, we enter the green gate, the Onyxy. The green gate is much more comforting looking. This is the season of spring. And it is from the green gate that we begin to seed our new self. Just as in the spring we seed plants to grow to harvest, in the green gate we are seeding our new self, which will begin growing for the fourth gate. Now, I haven't gotten to the fourth gate yet, so I'm not going to talk about any of that because as I've not experienced those things, I can't talk about those things. In fact, there's more for me to learn about the green gate. I'm just now entering that, so I don't know a lot still, My timeline for all this, because again, when I went way back to the beginning, was to say I want to document the process of healing from massive betrayal trauma, which is what I went through. Massive betrayal trauma from multiple sources, essentially. The red gate took me about 12 weeks, and the black gate took me about 12 weeks to navigate fully through. I don't know how long the Green Gate's going to take. We'll see. So anyhow, those are the 3 gates. There are 4 more to discuss. I know the title of this was The 7 Gates, so it's very cryptic, and we're only going to talk about 3 of them. But I kind of wanted to do this as a primer going forward. So moving forward, I will be delving into the books of Enoch on this channel. And if you're not familiar with the books of Enoch, they are one of the books discovered with the Dead Sea Scrolls that were omitted from the Bible. So it's a book that was removed purposely from the Bible. We'll talk about some of the reasons publicly why and some of the reasons privately why that I've heard. Of course, I'm not a knowledge. I don't have the truth. I have only what I've heard. So I will relate what I've heard, and we'll have that discussion. The book of Enoch is still part of the Bible in Ethiopia. But I will be going over that. At least that'll be the next part of this channel will be to touch on some of that stuff. So anyhow, been a surreal week. Things are moving in an interesting direction. I'm excited to do this type of content and share what I've learned. I will be writing more about it as well. If you have any similar stories you'd like to share, hit me up. I'd love to hear it. Until then, guys, thank you for tuning in, and I will talk to you later.